What's up, y'all? Hope y'all having a blessed day today. This is another video of the Reflecting series. And so, today, I want to go over shoes. Like, why shoes, Lucas? Okay, well, you know, when you start to run, and if you don't tie your shoelaces up right, well, your shoes are going to fall off. Same way with us following Jesus Christ. You know, there's all the holy armor, but the boots, what does it mean to run? Run. And for your shoelaces to come off and they fall. Whenever you are running towards God, there's always going to be people who want to untie your shoe. There's always going to want to be people who will twist your shoe in certain knots to either lock you in their own knot or to twist it into a weak knot, to where when you're running still, but you're running with this chip with you. And it loosens it up every single time before it's too late. When we run for Christ, we must realize that there will be these roadblocks in our way. And so we must keep our shoes tight. We must keep our shoes tied with what, Lucas? We must keep our shoes tied in the Bible. When we learn to quote Scripture, when we learn to study the Bible, not just read the Bible, there's a difference. When we learn to study the Bible, it teaches us how to keep our shoes tied while we're running to these objectives that God has us to go for. I never had my shoes tied for the longest time. I've always been running with untied shoes and allowing other people to tie them for me. What do you mean by this, Lucas? I used to do HVAC. I used to run towards making that money and just creating this life that not only I've tied myself to, but I've allowed other people to tie me to. And in that, it's completely blocked the vision and the purpose that God has always set for me. I never allowed God to redirect my shoes and to tie them to where He wants me to run towards, so that the shoelaces will not be untied. God's always given me the purpose to preach. He's always gave me the gifts of the Spirit, the talents to build His kingdom in the way that He is leading me to do right now. But I've always ran away. I've always believed that shoelace would never stay tied because I always kept myself in that comfort position. I never knew how to keep myself tied in the Lord. So what did I do? I ran to something different. I ran towards money. I ran towards something that was easily achievable because I knew my future if I continued with it. But see, in this, you miss the whole purpose in life and big opportunities that God is trying to present in front of you. Jesus knows our past, our future, and our present. He knows what will happen. And so in that is why God always tries to lead your shoes in a different path. Because if you continue to walk in that path, eventually you'll start running towards it. Because you'll start to feel that you're being left behind. Or you'll start to feel that you're losing happiness and you need to make more money. And then you've run so hard that your feet start to hurt. And then your shoes start to crumble. The foundation of where you run has fallen apart. And you're wondering why, with all this success that you've achieved, you feel so lonely. You feel like that void has not been filled. It's because your shoes are not tied. Your shoes are not tied to where God will keep them tied. We're so used to tying and untying and tying and untying because we're living in our own desires. And it's not leading it, it's not producing more of the kingdom of heaven. That is why God calls us to these things that He leads us to do. That's why He calls us to, when you do everything in my name, point it towards the kingdom of heaven, and everything that you shall desire shall fall upon you. So then your shoes will not be untied. So then your foundation will not fall apart. So then your mind is centered and you don't have other people trying to tie their own knots in your shoe. Instead, you have God's purpose, God's plans, God's wisdom to keep your shoe tied to where nothing and no one can mess up your walk with God. So what I want you to do is to, when you're looking at the things that you're doing in life, are you tying your shoes to walk towards God? Or are you tying your shoes to continue walking in the worldly things? Hope you have a blessed day today.